All right, good morning, everybody. We really appreciate the large group that's joined us today for our Sparking Early Literacy Growth second informational session. We have a lot of information to share with you, and then we'd love to hear your comments and questions. But I'm going to kick it off here. I'm Donna Hoylman-Peduto, and I'm Director of the West Virginia Public Education Collaborative that is honored to work with the Benedum Foundation, the Claude Worthington Benedum Foundation, and Melanie Claxton. So you will hear from her coming up. But first, I thought I would introduce our team. We have Canyon Lowness, our wonderful program specialist and kind of the face of Sparking Early Literacy to the field. I'm sure many of you have heard from him, and some of you have been in technical assistance with him. And then we're really lucky to have Allison Dagan with us, Dr. Allison Dagan from WVU. She's literacy professor, and she's been with this project since the very beginning and really owe a lot of our success to her. And then really happy to have Chrissy Patron, one of our consultants, who's also with WVU Literacy. So Melanie is our excellent and outstanding program director of all things education for the Claude Worthington Benedum Foundation. And I'm going to turn it over to her.
Thank you, Donna. And I feel like I need to have you introduce me wherever I go. So I really appreciate that introduction. So good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me. As Donna mentioned, my name is Melanie Claxton. I'm the Senior Program Officer for Education with the Benedum Foundation. And just first and foremost, I want to thank you all for taking the time to participate in today's session. And it's really my hope that we can all leave with a renewed sense of purpose and clear direction of the work ahead of us as we strive to improve literacy outcomes for students across the state of West Virginia. I like to start these sessions by providing just a little bit of background and context as to why the foundation has been engaging in this work. And so in December of 2019, our Board of Trustees adopted third grade reading as one of the foundation's 75th anniversary initiatives. And so the initiatives really were representing a significant financial investment in projects that were core to the foundation's area of interest. And we all know that reading proficiency by third grade is a key milestone in every child's learning journey. So I know I'm preaching to the choir when I say that, but as a foundation, we felt it was really important for us that we understand that we want to support human growth and development. We have to be really intentional about thinking about what that means for our youngest learners and how we best support them, and particularly thinking about all of the research and evidence around the importance of reading on grade level by third grade. And we also know that despite significant public investments in early literacy and a range of pre-existing programs, that not all West Virginia students are benefiting equally. And so we really wanted to figure out how do we address the gap between different student populations, regions of the states, and grade levels. And so we did this work in partnership with and really engaging the West Virginia Public Education Collaborative to develop what Donna will talk about in more detail, a request for proposals, really designed to test new innovations, new strategies around ways to target these specific disparities that we were noticing. And so ideally, what we want to ensure is that all students across West Virginia have access to the necessary supports and resources to thrive. And so it's important to note that this particular investment is really around testing and evaluating new efforts to close the gap. And so we'll talk a little bit about how we're building on kind of some of those promising practices in a bit, but really thinking about, what are the different ways in which we can engage students at the local level, really thinking about understanding the context in your communities and really how do we best support the students that you're working with directly. This isn't about finding a silver bullet. We're not thinking that this is going to be a one-size-fits-all model, but really thinking about what does it take to tailor it in a way that best meets the needs that you all are seeing on the day-to-day. And then ultimately, learning from this and being able to take some of the things that we're seeing, the promising practices, back to the legislature to say, here are some policy recommendations. Here are ways in which we think we can be really most impactful in serving students across the state. And that will really be informed by the groundwork that you all are doing, being so close to students on a regular basis. And so that's why I'm really excited about today's session, because this is really an opportunity for you all to think about, how can you take your creativity, your innovation, and really allow it to expand and thrive and expand and really create opportunities for you to thrive. So I thank you all for the work that you do on a regular basis. I thank you all for being here today with us. as we really prepare for the third phase of this work. So we've been through a couple of phases and we've learned through that process, and we're really thinking that this is designed for the most success as we continue to think about the long-term implications of this work. So thank you again, and I really appreciate you all having me. And so with that, I will turn it over to Donna.
Thank you so much, Melanie. Well said. And really, it's great to hear the background. And we're so fortunate to have Benedum supporting us for phase 3 and all throughout these. Well, as Melanie was saying, these are proposals for transformational projects and the expansion of promising practices in the areas of school readiness, high quality instruction, and extended learning. So phase 3 has a different twist. Those of you that have been involved with phase 1 and phase 2 have a different focus this time, and it's very exciting. Just to talk a little bit about, as Melanie said, this has been an ongoing partnership with the Claude Worthington Benedum Foundation and the West Virginia Public Education Collaborative. And our aim, as Melanie said, we're looking for innovative and transformative ideas, initiatives, and interventions to support early literacy growth in West Virginia children from birth to 8. And we're focusing on high need schools and student populations. We have to give a shout out to the West Virginia Department of Ed, who's been a wonderful partner with us. And therefore, everything we do aligns with West Virginia House Bill 3035, which is the Third Grade Success Act. I'm sure everybody's familiar with that. It's a mandate that supports schools and close to the third grade reading achievement gap, and the Department of Ed's Ready, Read, Write West Virginia initiative. And we've, had lots of input from the department and making sure we're step by step with them. Our projects have been additionally supported, in addition to Benedum, by the Steely Foundation, EQT, and Greater Kanawha Foundation. So we're really, appreciative of that. So this is our model, and it goes through each year, and it's just, those of us that have been here from the beginning, when you look at it, it's amazing how it's evolved. But we started out in June 2020 to 2021. Initial planning, we had our request for proposals, our resource guide, very excited, and got into phase 1, in that following year. But in between, it's like a broken record anymore. In between, COVID came, so we had a little, spurting there. We had a little trouble with some of the initiatives taking off. So in phase 2, we allowed 8 of those projects, our original projects, to have renewal funding to be able to actually implement what they had planned. And then we had 8 new projects. So that was really a big year there in 2022, 2023. Now, here we are in phase 3, and I'm really anxious for the rest of the team to talk about this in more detail. But this time we're funding 5 new projects, similar to the previous years, and 3 expansion grants. And you'll hear a little bit more about that from Canyon. Also, we have in 2024 evaluation that Canyon, Allison, and Amy Morwood from WVU are working on, a white paper. We've been doing a lot of presentations throughout the state and nation, so that's exciting. And we are anxious, as Melanie said, to see what policy recommendations we can offer. So the grant requirements. It's open to all schools, public and private, early care, early childhood centers, after school, summer learning programs, nonprofit orgs, colleges, universities, and any other literacy-focused stakeholders, including community and public organizations. So we're trying to reach a wide group. The projects must align to the Campaign for Grade Level Reading and its focus on school readiness, high quality instruction, and/or extended learning. And just an important point to bring up again, even though I know the department has kind of moved away from stressing just primarily Campaign for Grade Level Reading in the Ready, Read, Write, all these 3 areas still apply. to what we're trying to do. They're very applicable, and the department agrees with us on that. The projects must take place in West Virginia and focus on West Virginia children. As I said before, birth to age 8, we're prioritizing high needs population and/or communities. That gives you a little background on that. There must be 2 measurable outcomes in each one of the projects, and one of which, not surprisingly, must be directly tied to student growth. The projects are required to form collaborative partnerships to contribute to the project's success. So 2 must there, and then here's 2 priorities. We are encouraging all projects to include learning opportunities for teachers and other stakeholders as well who work directly with the children. And then we're also prioritizing, but not requiring, matching funds, in-kind contributions, and/or cost sharing. We're recommending that for a more successful project. So that's the requirements and priorities, and I'll turn it over to Canyon.
Thanks, Donna. Good morning, everyone. As Donna said, my name's Canyon Lonis. I am the program specialist for the PEC. I'm going to take over now and talk about the 2 grant types that are available for this round. I want to give a shout out to Melanie Claxton at the Benedum Foundation. This was sort of her brainchild, as encouraging us to think more about how we're building capacity in other areas and looking to expand what we have identified as promising practices over the first few years of our program. So you'll see here, we have 2 grant types. The first is what we're referring to simply as new projects. These are the Sparking Early Literacy projects that we all know and love. They are intended to pilot transformational early literacy ideas in those areas that Donna identified in the previous slides. We'll talk more about specific guidance about those in a second. The second grant type are the expansion of promising practices grants, and these are seeking, for those of you seeking additional funding to replicate or expand promising practices piloted during the first 2 phases of our program. And I'll talk specifically about which practices are eligible for that funding as well. The award for those, the maximum award for those grants is $30,000, and we'll also award $20,000 to what we're referring to as the model project, who will then be able to serve as a mentor for you as you implement the program in your own local context. As I said, the new Sparking Early Literacy Growth grants are the same grants that you've seen in the past. The maximum budget request is $50K. Up to $5,000 may be allocated to the project director for your time leading and organizing the grant activities. And then no more than $15,000 may be allocated for professional development consultant fees. And these guardrails are just put in place to make sure that you are thinking not only about how you're using the funds to increase your professional development capacity, but also to make sure that it's getting into the hands of our students, which is who we're ultimately trying to impact. The expansion of promising practices grants are intended to create and nurture collaborative partnerships between grant seekers and what we've identified as model project personnel who have experience implementing the practices in their local community. In addition to the 2 outcomes that Donna mentioned earlier, related to student growth, and then a secondary outcome, we'll also be looking for a 3rd outcome with these grants that specifically investigates your relationship with the model project. Again, something very important to PEC, something very important to Benedum, is that we're building capacity in other parts of the state and really looking to see if we are able to replicate these promising practices. That way we can make either local or state policy recommendations in the future. These are the grants that are eligible for that expansion grant funding, or the practices eligible for expansion grant funding. You'll see that they align with our original grant categories. So in the area of school readiness, we have a great project coming out of Moorfield Elementary in Hardee County called Forging Foundations for Families. This project formed corporate partnerships to allow for family literacy training in the workplace. So for example, they would hold parent workshops during the workday on site at a manufacturing plant in the community. That way it removes some of those burdens and barriers to family engagement, like transportation, scheduling conflicts, and those sorts of things. In the area of extended learning, we have a great project called Read With Me Weirton out of Weirton Elementary in Hancock County. And this is simply aligning curricular and intervention efforts with after-school providers. In essence, the after-school providers were trained in the same exact curriculum that the teachers during the school day were trained in. And then the teachers during the school day also worked in the after-school program with the Weirton Christian Center. Again, making sure that they can provide targeted intervention, and we're using shared language with their students. And we've seen great gains in student growth as associated with that project. Lastly, but certainly not least, in the area of high quality instruction, we have building self-efficacy, one writer at a time, through ICANN plans and STEAM journal writing clubs. This program is actually a collaborative program, but it is led by Berkeley County. And this program provides scaffolded STEAM integrated writing instruction to students in grades pre-K through 3. So we know that literacy does not exist in a vacuum, and we also know that writing sometimes is underrepresented in the grand scheme of the conversations around literacy. So this project does a great job at integrating two very high need areas in STEAM and writing instruction. I want to, at this point, draw your attention to the chat. I did drop a link in there that'll take you to our website. It'll have all of this information on there, in addition to some more detailed descriptions of these projects. These grants have a maximum award amount of $30,000. Again, up to $5,000 may be allocated to the project director, and up to $15,000 may be allocated for professional development consultant fees. And of course, at the end of this session, we'll have plenty of time to answer questions about this grant type. And now I will throw it over to Dr. Dagan to talk about the support options available.
Okay, thanks, Canyon. Yeah, I think one of the really interesting thing over phase 1, 2, and 3 of this Sparking Early Literacy project is the amount of support that potential grant seekers and then grant awards receive once awarded. And so we do that in 2 ways. And so the first way is, and I so strongly recommend that you consider signing up soon for this, but we offer these one-on-one informational sessions, one-on-one technical assistance meetings. And so there's a form to fill out, and maybe Canyon, that is in that chat box there too. And it's strongly recommended, and for full disclosure, participating does not guarantee funding. But what we have offered in the past is you can meet with a member of the team. And by the member of the team, that could be somebody from absolutely somebody representing WVPEC. So it might be Donna Peduto, it might be Canyon Lonas, it could be one of the literacy consultants, which is the second piece I'm going to speak about. And this is primarily faculty and associates and affiliates with WVU's literacy education program who've been involved with these projects, have been involved with Sparking from the beginning. And so are very well aware of the processes, the implementation and such. And the purpose of these one-on-one technical assistance is, I think they call it spitballing in some instances, but it's really for you to share your idea, to get some feedback, some informal feedback from somebody to talk through the idea and where you can get some suggestions or recommendations. So that is the one piece that makes this so different from so many other grant projects, because it is one-on-one. So there is an intent, and Ken, I think, is going to speak about this in a moment, an intent form to fill out where you can actually request these one-on-one meetings on your time. And these meetings can be during the school day, after school, etc. The second area so this is a pre-proposal support. And Canyon, I can't remember if there's a next slide talking about the literacy consultants. Nope. Okay, let me just say it informally, that when you, and maybe this is something that is not in the PowerPoint, that once funded, here's the second piece of the puzzle that I think that makes this just so interesting and such a great project to be involved in. Once awarded, you are assigned a literacy, we call them literacy consultants, and it is somebody to help with implementation, to be a content expert on assessment and data collection, and helping you through troubleshooting and problems that may emerge in the implementation plan. Because as we all know, the best laid plans sometimes don't always work that way. And so each project is assigned a literacy consultant to work. The literacy consultant really functions as an in-between between the projects and WVPEC. Okay, so I'm gonna turn it back over to you, Canyon.
Thanks, Allison. Just one more thing on this slide. We do have an intent form that we are requesting be submitted by February 1st. I'm going to take you to our website next, just so you can see where all of this information is housed. But before we get there, just some additional resources that are located in the appendix of the RFP. You'll see copies of both the new grant application and the expansion grant application in the appendix. We've also provided templates for a budget form and the partnership acknowledgement form that should be uploaded with your application. These are simply just the partnership acknowledgement form is simply just to make sure that you and your organization, as well as any collaborative partners, are all on the same page. Like Donna said in the very beginning of our presentation, this program is aligned with Ready, Read, Write. So you'll see the Science of Reading talking points and supporting research from the West Virginia Department of Education. In the appendix, you'll also see some resources related to assessment that you can use for outcome 1, and then some just additional achievement and demographic data related to schools here in West Virginia. Looking at the timeline, you'll see that we are at grant informational session number 3 here. Keep that February 1st date on your calendar. That is when the intent form will be due. This is a super simple form. It'll take you less than 5 minutes to complete. And it's just to give us an idea of the number of applications and the type of applications that will be coming at the grant deadline. That grant deadline, the all-important day, is March 15th, 2024. Those proposals must be submitted by 11:59 p.m. Eastern, and then formal notification of awards will occur in June. We hope that you will have those funds in hand by the beginning of the school year. That way you'll be able to begin fully implementing your project. Lastly, you can scan the QR code and it'll take you right to our website if you want to look at it on a mobile device. Otherwise, I'm going to take you to our website. Give me 1 second here. I want to give a shout out to our communications director for putting together such a great resource here online. You'll see in the red bar, you'll have all of the things you need to submit a proposal. First and foremost, you'll see the request for proposals. You'll see the link for the intent form, and then the actual application links for new grants and the expansion grants. I'm just going to click on the request for proposals very quickly so that you can see what it looks like. It is in PDF form, so you can print it. The table of contents will point you in the right direction depending on grant type. And then it basically provides more detail to all of the information that we showed in today's slideshow. Back to the website, you'll see additional information about the 2 proposal options. Again, you'll see a copy of the timeline. You'll see some additional information about why you should apply. At the bottom, you'll see where you should email to request technical assistance. I also want to mention that if you submit your letter of intent or your intent form online, you can request technical assistance that way. At the bottom, you'll find downloadable forms for the supplemental documents, including the request for proposals. You will be able to rewatch this session as well as the session we held last year. And then there are some links here that will take you to are the projects that have been funded in the past if you're looking for inspiration. And with that, we will open the floor for questions. I'm also going to stop recording just in case.